So the first question comes from Rajna, and Rajna asks, what is the max order quantity per customer you would recommend? I'll let you tackle that one, Cole.
All right. So typically I like to target a max order quantity somewhere around 20 units, and it can definitely depend on the type of product you have. But the reason I do that is because when you put a limit on the number of units that a customer can purchase or add to your cart, it limits them from being able to see the total amount of inventory that you have on hand. So when you don't set a limit for your product, it allows your competitors to go into your listing. If they add it to cart, they can go then and then type in the max number that Amazon allows you, which is like 999 into the add to cart button. And that'll allow them to see how many units that you have in stock of your product. It just kind of gives them some insights that personally, I don't want my competition to know how many units I have on hand, what my inventory situation is like. So I'll put that somewhere around 20. There's really no math behind how I came up with that number. I just don't expect somebody to buy 20 units, and you also don't want to restrict them too much. So that's kind of the number I've come up with. There's also, reasoning for is putting a limit on that, as far as you don't want a competitor or somebody to buy up all your inventory and then do something malicious with it, whether it's just cancel the order after you've shipped it out or anything along those lines. So I'd recommend somewhere in the 20 unit range, kind of, look into what's ideal for your product. But I like to at least have some sort of restriction on it to prevent any of that malicious activity from competition.
Definitely. It's especially if you're running like a steep discount, that's when you're going to see that these sellers will pounce on that and do some retail arbitrage, essentially try to sell it at a higher price. So on your own listing, and that's when you start getting those pirates that start hacking your listing. So definitely just be mindful, set the limit. You probably might even set the threshold lower if you're running a deep discount. If it's not a deep discount and you're now at your price is stabilized, you're where you want it to be, and it's fairly competitive to what everyone else's has their listing or their particular product that competitor wise, it's listed at that price or better or whatever, or just around that, then you probably don't run as much of a risk, and you could even raise, like Cole said, to 20. Just depends on where you're at. If you're in the launch stage, you're probably going to be deeply discounted just to bump that BSR a little bit, but be mindful of that. And yeah, as soon as you're done with your sale, you could definitely make some changes there. Good stuff, Cole. Looks like, we got a question. We got some additional questions coming in. Awesome. Yes, keep dropping those questions because there's only a few questions in here. We want to be able to answer all your questions. So
you got us for an hour. Make use of the time.
Definitely. All right. Looks like Brett has the next question. Brett's asking, let's see here. Maybe just move this to another screen so I can read it here. Brett's asking, I've heard that it can take up to 2 weeks to get A+ content approved. Is it faster to set up a very simple A+ content first to get it approved faster, then update it? My product came in sooner than expected, so I'm a little rushed to get the listing out. As far as what I would say in this regard, and I probably Cole has a different perspective, but for me, I wouldn't so much be concerned just to put something up and slap something together. I always like the finished product versus just something for the sake of having something. So definitely use, try to get that in as fast as possible. But yes, unfortunately, even if you do a lean version, it's still going to take the 2 weeks because essentially, as you can imagine, these are submitted and in some instances, some things might get rejected. Because the algorithm just immediately recognizes it, and it might get rejected. And you might have to make some edits, some changes. So that's why I say a finished product is best, because there's going to probably be a little back and forth. You'll be surprised. They say 2 weeks, but in some cases it might be 2 days. It just really depends on the accuracy and no false misleading information. And like we always say, keywords that are not almost that will trigger. How should I say? What would you call it, Cole? Like insert, for example, like if you put hypoallergenic, I know that will immediately trigger something with Amazon. So like just making sure that content isn't in there, and you should be in a good shape there. What would you have to say to that, Cole?
Yeah, I would say, it's not the end of the world if you've got your product up for sale and you don't have your A+ content there yet. I mean, obviously there's advantages to having that. And like Rolando said, you want to get that uploaded as soon as you can, but I wouldn't do anything differently about the product launch, about, worrying about your listing. Put something in the description, and then as quickly as you can, get out the A+ content that you want, the one that you really think is going to be the best performing. So yeah, I think obviously it has its advantages, but just make sure you get your your listing up for sale. And then when you get the time to upload that A+ content. And I know you kind of referred to the 2 weeks. I'll just say, to hopefully give you some hope, that I have submitted A+ content in the past, and sometimes it only takes me 2-3 days. So it's not always a strict 2-week timeline. Just, once you get it uploaded, and there's a good chance it'll get uploaded within that timeline. So yeah, get your product up for sale, and as soon as you can, get the A+ content up there as well. But don't think that your product's going to be a bust just because you don't have the A+ content up there right away. It really shouldn't affect things in the long run. Just that's kind of how it is. There's a lot of moving pieces when you launch your product, and it's not always going to be perfect. So you're definitely not the only one to have been in that situation before.
And you'll be able to go in and make tweaks and modifications, which you more than likely will. But yeah, just try to have as much of, even with when someone initially approaches me about their product listing, I always encourage that just make it like it's the final, make your listing as if it's the final piece of the puzzle, right? Like, or well, you've already launched, even while you're waiting for your shipment to arrive. Just keep working on that listing, keep optimizing it. You won't have, how should I say, you won't have like historical data or like ways to validate what works and what doesn't. And you're going to have some assumptions and some hypotheses, I guess you could say, of what works. But over time, you're just going to constantly be tweaking, constantly molding that listing along with that A+ content. So yeah, get that up and ready, and you'll see some results. Inam says hello to us also. Hey, you're welcome. This is like the most exciting time of the week, is to get with you all and answer your questions. It's almost as close as being there with you in person, coaching you. And Cole, I know he's always wanting to join us, so it's awesome. All right. Inam asks, the next question is like, what is your opinion about thank you cards inside my product packaging? And can you give some idea around thank you cards, such as what to say and what not to say? I'll let you tackle this one, Cole.
All right. So my opinion is it's a little indifferent. I've done with those, product inserts or thank you cards, and I've done sometimes without them. There's a lot of gray area, I guess you could say, with them and what's acceptable by Amazon. So if you're going to do a thank you card, you've got to be careful about what you're saying. As far as what's included, what's not included, or what can be included and what can't be. You can't have really like a phone number or an email on there for them to contact you directly, or a website. You can't have any of that because Amazon wants to keep them on the Amazon platform. And when you start adding in all that outside contact info, it's going to raise a flag. And it obviously, to them, appears that you're starting to try and drive contact or traffic off their website, and basically stealing those sales from Amazon. So it needs to be very, I guess, basic as far as requesting for a review. There can't be any, I guess, persuasion in there. It needs to be about as generic as possible, letting them know where they can leave a review. Personally, I don't know if I take a stance one way or the other. I would just say that it's something you want to do some research on. You want to have about as generic as language and non-persuasive language as possible. I think one thing that, to my knowledge, is acceptable or is kind of one of those gray areas, and Rolando, you can chime in on this if you think otherwise, but I know some people have had success by adding like their social media handles. And then on social media, you're going to obviously have contact info or your website's linked to your social media account. So if you're really looking at a long workaround as far as getting them to your website, that is something that I know that people have had success with and is more of a common thing, but I don't know if they technically spell that out within their terms of service. So I just want to say, if you're going to go that route, look into it a bit more. From my experience, I haven't had issues with that, but those are one of the things where I'm not going to say one way or the other, yes, that's the thing to do. It's just, I know that's a common method that people use. And one of the thousands of gray areas that Amazon has. So that'd be kind of my input on it all.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. Just be mindful that anything that would try to siphon traffic off of Amazon is a no-no. So I think the approach here is just making it so that it's just a good user experience, not so much for repeat business. There will be repeat business on Amazon if it's a quality product. I know when I shop on Amazon, I save my lists of like products that I really fell in love with, and I just reorder them because now it's on my list, my shopping list, and I'll reorder it. So make it, if you're going to use an insert, make it a value add of just appreciating the customer, make it about them and a good user experience. Don't make it about, hey, go to our website. Hey, like Cole said, social media is a touchy area too. I don't know if there's a clear distinction that Amazon gives, and I don't believe they do. You'll notice that a lot of sellers violate this, and they ask for reviews. It's crazy, and I'm just like I'll receive a product, I'm like, this insert is wild. Like, I can't believe they do this. I would never report them just because, I have a good heart, but I know that it's something that violates Amazon's terms of service, and someone could report it, and there goes that listing, right? And until you correct it and rectify it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know from some inserts that I've seen in the past, it is pretty ridiculous. They'll offer like a $25 Amazon gift card if you leave them a 5-star review. And right now there's a ton of ongoing news related to sellers based out of China who have been using like these black hack tactics related to getting or paying for reviews. And I know some of the accounts have been temporarily suspended. I was reading something the other day where it said up to like 200,000 sellers could face some sort of suspension or red flag here within the next 30 days related to product inserts or product reviews. I know that's kind of a bit different, but I think they're all related in some way where, it's not even worth it to toe the line on that. If your goal is to build a big, successful business with all of this, you want it to be in good standing. You don't want to be risking it, because if you get a year down the line and then all this comes back to bite you, you're going to wish you just had done this the correct way right out from the start. So yeah, I would just caution you to read up on the terms and service and make sure it's compliant.
Definitely. And just come off at it as from a branding perspective, right? You're a brand, and how can you convey this like warm, fuzzy feeling of that brand? And typically that's not going to be with bombarding them with like, hey, we want to review, we want this, we want that. I mean, Amazon, you can see they've shifted in the direction where before you could you could send emails and you could contact customers, to the point where like now they're just shifting everything to Amazon, because in the end they're more concerned about the end user, that is their prime customer, right? And so no pun intended, their prime customer. And so they want to make that experience as good of an experience as possible. And so they know that like a customer constantly getting emails and a customer constantly being sent to another website, and the website, let's just say hypothetically, isn't fully built out and it's clunky and it's, it's got issues. It reflects on Amazon in the end. So that's why look at it from Amazon's eyes and see and more be an ally of Amazon versus trying to take away from Amazon. And that's where you're really going to benefit. And that's how your business is going to grow. So, Amazon is a great launching platform for products. Eventually, you can build your own Shopify store and sell through that as well. But in your early stages, that is just way too much work, way too much effort. Focus solely on Amazon. And yeah, so we get some more questions. Cool. Looks like Brett has the next question. It's when I send my product into Amazon, does it go live immediately, or does the launch date that I set have control? So what happens is when you send in the product and it arrives at Amazon's warehouse, and more than likely it's going to be split up. So your shipment's going to probably go to like 3. I've never seen less than three fulfillment centers. And so, one shipment might go to Texas, another to Florida, another to New York, let's just say. Whenever it arrives at any of those fulfillment centers, it will go live after it's been scanned in. So there is still a little delay in the process. So the product might arrive there, but they have to get it scanned in, and they need to account for every every individual item that arrived. So that's why it is I would say it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 business days to really get your items into Amazon, and then it will go live immediately. The launch date that you have set up will not impact that. The launch date there is more for your customers to comprehend, like how long this product has been on the market. When it, and so that's kind of what the launch date refers to. It's more just a what do you call it, like a little factoid. So cool. All right. I'll let you tackle this one, Cole.
All right.
So Alyssa, I'll let you read it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say,
hogging the
let me save your voice here for a minute, Orlando. All right. Hi, Alyssa. So she says, I haven't gotten far enough in the course to learn about returns, but do returns automatically get discarded or sent to liquidation, or are they ever put back into inventory? Does that end up being a large issue for sellers? So returns is I guess it's kind of a complex side of things when you're dealing with Amazon FBA. Returns they're automatically processed by Amazon. There's really nothing you need to do if you're selling FBA. The return's going to be processed automatically. But basically what they do with those returns, there's a few different options. And you have a bit of control of this within Amazon, where you can adjust what they do with these returns. So yes, some of them go back into your active inventory. Basically what happens is the customer will send it back to whatever location they have the customer send it back, and somebody at Amazon will kind of take their own judgment of the box, seeing if it looks like it's still in good shape and good enough to go back into inventory. So that's definitely one outcome. I would say that when you have somebody else kind of grading the condition of your product, that can be a bit of an issue. I know I've had times where a customer will get a box that's been beat up, and likely the result of that was that an old customer had sent it back. They added it back into the inventory, and it showed up to a new customer where the box was already damaged. And in reality, that should have probably been discarded before that. As far as what they do with the inventory, that, if an Amazon employee receives a box and they decide that it's not worthy of going back into active inventory, you have two different options. They can either discard the inventory. It's called disposal. And I think they charge you anywhere from 30 cents, 50 cents. It's changed a little bit over the past couple of years. I don't remember the exact number. So they'll either take that inventory and dispose it, or you have the option to get that inventory sent back to you. And personally, that's what I like to do. I think maybe it's like 50 or 60 cents to have it sent back to your house. So still fairly cheap. But basically what that allows me to do is then instead of just throwing out all the inventory that's been returned, I can send it back to my house. I can go through it and sort through it myself. And if I have additional boxes or additional packaging at the house, I can kind of go through there and recreate those units and send it back into Amazon. And why that's nice is because a lot of times you'll get a unit sent back to you that's in perfect condition. And since Amazon doesn't really know your product, they don't know if everything's good or not to be added back into active inventory. It allows you to kind of be the judge on that and decide if it's worthwhile or not. So I know that was kind of a long-winded response, but it can end up being an issue when you're getting Amazon employees adding that inventory back into your active stuff if maybe it should have been sent back to you. But really, overall, I haven't had too many issues with it. I wouldn't say it should be one of your main concerns up front, but just understand what you want to do with your inventory. If you want them to dispose it, or if you want them to send it back to you for those returns.
Awesome. And looks like Nam has the next question.
I think we might have skipped over Brett there,
right?
Rolando.
What's that? Was it Brett?
I think Brett had the next one.
All right. So he asks, on my main image, is it okay to show my product along with a zoomed in image of part of my package? I want to highlight some words on the packaging, and buyers would not be able to see it if I show the entire package. So I want to show a zoomed in image of the top and have it, top half of the packaging to make it stand out. According to Amazon's terms of service, the short answer is no. They just want your product on a white background and to use up 80% of that space. So, and to be quite honest, I find that there's a sense of professionalism to it. So, it creates also obviously for Amazon on its platform, it creates like a uniformity. So that's why they aim to do this, so that it feels like one store that you're shopping at, not like at this store that just has like all this random products, right? But in the long term, so yes, it would violate Amazon's terms of service. Now, do people do this? Do people get away with this? You see it all the time. So there's Amazon's way, and then there's the way that people are trying to like finagle and try to highlight additional stuff. So I would advise against it. What I would recommend is making it one of the additional images, so that when someone clicks into your product, you can definitely have like a packaging image. You can even have a 360 view. That would be awesome if you could put a 360 view image in there. I think that's one of those things that's used very little. But I think customers do go in and they'll do the whole tilt and twist to see everything. And you could start it from the angle of where you want to highlight. So that would be my suggestion. I wouldn't do it on the main image. And yeah, and make sure to include, like we always talk about, to include some lifestyle images, some some product highlight images, that kind of gives the measurements and also little factoids. So like that would be my suggestion. I wouldn't focus so much on the main image as the place to put that. All right. Looks like Nam has the next question. And keep dropping those questions. We're loving this.
We've had some good ones, that's for sure.
Yeah. Give us your hardest questions.
We got to stump Rolando. Come on, let's see what you got.
Try to stump us. No. Anam says, thank you. Can I use a QR code on the thank you card to take the customer directly to the product review page on Amazon? Where and how can I design the QR on the thank you card? What are your recommendations? I would not use a QR code to take them to the review page. I would use a QR code to just take them to your product. Once again, that and even then, like, that's might be a gray area, but you have validation in that it's not going to an outside source, right? Like, you can prove that. They could scan it and it goes right to the exact listing so that they could repurchase. I don't know if you would agree with that, Cole.
Yeah, I think that's a good recommendation. I don't really know where Amazon totally stands on the QR code. I know that I have an insert in one of my products where there is a QR code on, and it's separate from a thank you card. It's an instructional card that has a QR code on there that will take them to a YouTube video to show them how to basically use the product. So, I don't know, as far as if you're using a QR code to take them to the product, I don't know what I thought you were allowed to add in a link or kind of a step-by-step as far as where to go leave the review. As long as you're not like telling them, hey, leave us 5 stars, or persuading them to leave one review versus the other. I wouldn't expect it to be against the terms of service, but yeah, I don't know. That's one of those gray areas again. So I don't know really if I can offer much input on that. It's just sometimes you'd like to play it a bit safer. And then you got to think, like, what's going to be the outcome of this? If I have this QR code versus if I have, like, just asking them to leave a review, like, is there going to be a huge difference, or is it really not worth the risk? It's one of those risk reward things that you got to constantly ask yourself with Amazon. And, if you're going to toe the line on something, is it going to really be worth the outcome? But yeah, that's about the best advice I can offer on that one.
Yeah. And that's the challenge, is that on the issue of QR codes, it's somewhat of a gray area. But what I'll do is I'll actually drop, like, their seller policies in the chat, and they don't give a clear description of, like, what is and isn't allowed on this topic. And to that, if you are going to do a QR code, then don't direct it off of Amazon. Don't direct it to a review, to write a review. Don't direct it other than maybe to your listing, which would remind them, like, subtly, either to leave a review. It's like you just kind of like hint, like, yeah, this is the product right here. Come leave a review. So that would be the recommendation there. There are a couple. In fact, last week, I believe, someone was asking about what QR code generators are. Your best option is to use a dynamic QR code, which means that you can actually go in and change where the URL is pointing to. So, say, for example, you have you wanted to start selling off of Amazon down the road. You can point that QR code to a different URL. You could switch it out, and you don't have to, like, reprint all these inserts. So, something to keep in mind if you are going to go the QR code route. There's a couple out there that I can think of. and the first would be QR code generator. And so like I'll drop the link to that. And then there's a Beacon Stack. I'd say those are probably your best bet. They're going to be to do a dynamic code. Obviously there is a fee, or you could go the free route and just use their free service, which is just a static URL, which you can't change out, which if you're fine with that and you're going to be reprinting, you're going to have reorders and, printing off, you're not like individually printing like stacks of product inserts, then you're fine. And so, like I said, I'll drop those links in there along with the seller code of conduct and their seller policies. Do we have any other questions?
That's all I'm seeing right now.
Keep dropping those questions away. So here I've put in the seller policies for Amazon in the description. Now let me go ahead and drop a couple of names for QR code generators. And like I said, take this with a grain of salt. Don't. It is a gray area, and we're just basing it off of assumptions right now. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of sellers that do this and use this system, but there isn't an ironclad answer from Amazon. All right.
Looks like we have one more question pop through from Anam. So let's see. What are some other things do you recommend I should have inside my packaging to wow the customer? Inside of the packaging, I don't know if anything comes to mind for that. I would say you want to have like clean, presentable packaging. If you've got a design on the outside of your packaging or you've got your brand, I think that's a good way for them to recognize it. And I think overall you want to have a good customer experience when they're opening a package. And the example that always comes to mind when I'm thinking of this is like, if I buy anything from Apple, like an iPhone, a MacBook, every time I'm like opening up that box, you're like excited. They've done a very good job of creating that wow factor for when you open up their box or their packaging. It's got a design, everything's like nicely fit when you open it. So I would just kind of keep that in mind when you're doing it. But Rolando, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, Apple's always a good example just because they started this whole thing. I mean, I'm sure others have, but they've kept with it too, where it's like you kind of look forward about what's beyond the box, right? Like
yeah,
the product. And so I think that one philosophy that I tend to focus on when it comes to design elements and anything related to that is less is best, simplicity. Like if you look at an Apple product in the box, it's just the Apple logo and a little description of the product and an image of the product in the front, like, a really nice image of the product in front. So just, so definitely, I think that is going to, first impressions matter. So they're going to open up this brown cardboard box from Amazon with all this packaging material. And then that's where the wow begins, right? Like, it's like Christmas, just arrived in the by mail. And now you're opening your package and there's where the wow factor begins. It's like, wow, this is like a gorgeous case, because if it came in a poly bag with a label, nothing all impressive, and I even still today, like when an Amazon seller does this and they're, like a product that I've ordered on Amazon arrives and like, it's just beautiful packaging. I'm like, I can appreciate that. I was like, wow, this person really took the time to design the packaging. And then the next step after that is you open it and the ease of opening it, right? Like just think of like every little step in the process, like put yourself as the customer and say, okay, I got the package. Now I'm opening the package. Is it going to be so hard that I got to get scissors and I got to, like I have to go out of my way just to open this, because I've had those kind of packages as well. Like I hate those really like those, I don't know if you ever had this called like those plastic that they're like sealed all around, and it's like a
Yeah.
clear plastic, and you just got like, you do have to go get scissors, and then they got like bits and pieces, and you got to cut out every piece. I'm just like,
Yep.
oh, this is like a horrible user experience. Like they could do this better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But obviously that's a cost effective way, and that's why they do that. But yeah, the package, you know, opens easy, and then once you open it, there's like this instructional guide that, like, you know, pops out at you first. It's not even like the product yet. It's like something that covers the product, and it's just a little pamphlet, and it opens up and it says, you know, start here, and it kind of walks you through what the product is. And that's where the insert, the thank you, comes in. It's not a separate insert. It's literally the instructional guide that, and then, you know, thanking them, just creating that experience. And now person's going to, you know, hold on to that because it's instructions, but it's also kind of, you know, the thank you, you know, so they're reminded, they're wowed by that. And then, yeah, and then ultimately the packaging of the product itself. So think of it in those terms, and you'll see a lot of success. It's crazy how first impressions matter, because keep in mind, like, the product you're selling is probably no different than what I think I'm just trying to name any product. Well, I'm trying to stay away from big brands. But, well, for example, like I'm looking at right now at a bag by Swiss Army, like a backpack by Swiss Army. Right now I'm just like staring at one. That's no different than what, you know, you're ordering from the same manufacturers in many cases as them, the same backpack. And so it really is about like first impressions and branding and simplicity. Remember, less is best. I bought these chairs recently. They're the Adirondack chairs. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. But the one fail of the product was they put their logo, and it's so big, and it's just like, and I'm like, and it's so prevalent. And it's like, I just don't want to see the logo. Like, I'm like tempted to just like paint over it because it bothers me. You know, they're white Adirondack chairs. That's what should be reflected. If anything, the logo maybe should have gone on the back, not on the front, or something a little smaller, you know. And so that was one like turn off to me about these chairs. Chairs are gorgeous. You know, the chairs are beautiful, but this big logo on there, and like with it written out, with the brand written out, I was just like, yeah, nah, that's a turn off. So yeah, definitely keep those things in mind when it comes to branding. All right, Brett asks, I have friends with business that have walk-in traffic. They have offered to have flyers for my product there. If I put a URL on the flyers to go directly to my listing, is it okay with Amazon? Yes, absolutely. You can drive traffic from any source. So even better, that's where a good example where you would put a QR code. QR codes, like if you could put like a little, you know, if they have those little plastic cases where you could put like a sleeve and it kind of stands up, put a little QR code, the product, and make it a dynamic URL so that, you know, over time, you know, you could direct the traffic wherever you want to. Initially, of course, to your listing. But if, say, like you'll open up an online store separate from Amazon, then you could just change that URL out to a URL that of your choosing. So that is a perfect example of where to use a QR code. So
yeah, I agree. I was thinking the exact same thing when I saw that question pop up. That's got QR code written all over it, and saves the hassle of the customer having to type in the URL. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to get to your product, to find your page. And yeah, get as much traffic as you can to your listing from outside Amazon. They love anytime you're going to direct traffic to Amazon. That means they've got another customer that they might have not had before. So that's totally agreed upon in the Amazon space to do that.
Yeah, and typically you're looking at over time you might start even doing some promotion through like Facebook and Google ads, and they like Amazon just loves that kind of traffic, so whenever it's outside traffic, that's not a concern. It's actually they've built this whole ecosystem around it. They even have affiliates that are promoting so people sign up to promote Amazon and products. Like they might have a website built on electronics, an affiliate, and the affiliate gets a little commission for bringing traffic to Amazon. So those are maybe some hacks that you might, if you could get on one of those websites and have your product listed on one of those websites, that would be amazing because it's a win-win. The affiliate gets a commission, you get paid, everybody's happy. Amazon gets paid, everybody's happy. All right. Keep dropping those questions. You still have us for 15 minutes, it looks like so. Or else Cole's gonna have to start singing for us.
All right, please ask questions. My voice isn't that great.
Let's see if we got any others.
Yeah, we just had one pop up from Anam.
Okay.
Let's see. If you have a product that requires installation instruction, what do you do, and where do you get the drowning done? Okay. By drowning done, I'm assuming that means like, what do you think? Where you're uploading the?
I think he's drawings done.
Oh, all right. All right. Drawings done. I don't know on that one, Rolando. I'll answer the first part of it. So yeah, typically I include an insert in my packaging that will show them a step-by-step of how to create or how to build a product or use the product, whatever the case may be. That's like the perfect insert for you to include there. And just kind of how Rolando mentioned, as far as if you do want to have a thank you card, you could almost have one side being instruction and the other side being a thank you card, where it kind of creates that one product insert that you have, and it accomplishes both goals that you're going for. So yeah, I think a product installation or a card in there is going to be the perfect place to include instructions. Some people will also send out an email to customers with like a PDF attachment showing them where they can click on, and also have a document where they can look at the instructions outside of the insert that they have there. So I think both places there could be a good option for that. But Rolando, if you have any insight on getting the drawings done, I don't know anywhere other than like maybe like a Upwork or something like that.
Yeah, and I was going to suggest that you've got Fiverr, you've got Upwork. You'd want to hire a freelancer to create that for you, and they have to have CAD skills, CAD design skills. Basically, they're going to have to use a special software to kind of create these renderings that look like three-dimensional. If that's what if your product has multiple pieces, that's essentially what you're going to need to do, is hire someone that has CAD design skills. And you'll find those on Fiverr, you'll find those on Upwork. So definitely go do your due diligence in trying to find the best. They'll always have like their portfolios that they've worked on in the past, so you can kind of get an idea of the quality. Look at the reviews, look at the turnaround time, pricing, obviously, and compare just kind of compare and contrast. One of the things I like to do is just to put a job out there on Upwork and have them come to me. So like, you put a description of what you want, what you're looking for, and give them, pick the different specific fields that need to be required. Like what exactly, like CAD design is one of them. And so that would be like a graphic designer / CAD that has CAD ability, right? Like, that would be my recommendation. And you could use that person. They could double over as your graphics person as well for your packaging, because if they are CAD designers, they typically have graphic design abilities as well. So you can kind of double over if that's, if you're able to, find someone such as that. But it's not hard. There's a lot of freelancers that are, starving artists, right? Like they say, and they're looking for some work. So definitely I would go that route. I can I'll drop the links to both of those, to Fiverr and to Upwork, so that you all can have that. Do you want to tackle the next one? I'll drop those links in here.
Yeah. So we got another question from Brett. I haven't used QR codes, but do you have any suggestions where to go to set that up? Yeah, so Rolando just dropped a couple links maybe 10, 15 minutes ago in the chat with some other places where you can go to create a QR code. He's got the two websites here. One is called QR Code Generator, and the other one is called Beacon Stack. So you'll find that within the chat there, Brett. A few different options you have are your static QR code. And basically what that is where you set your QR code to a certain link. And, anytime somebody scans that, they're going to go directly to that link. But your dynamic one is if you create a QR code and then you decide to change where you're sending that traffic, the QR code will update with that. So there's probably a slight difference in pricing, but kind of dependent on what you want to do. If you want to have a static one or you want to have a dynamic one, but you should be able to find that on those two links in the chat, QRCodeGenerator.com and then BeaconStack.com as well.
Awesome. So yeah, now those different freelance sites are there so that you can reference Inam. Good questions. Keep them coming. We got 10 minutes and we can answer as many questions within those 10 minutes.
Yeah, I've used Upwork. I've used Fiverr a few times, but I haven't used Upwork, and I've been meaning to try it out. Have you found that one of the two you get better results? I feel like from my experience with Fiverr that Upwork is going to give me better output, but I'm just curious what your experience been like.
Yeah, I find that Fiverr, you're going to get a better price. A little, but you get what you pay for, right? You're gonna get a better price. True. They are designed to quick turnarounds, lowest cost, because that's it's about churn for them, like trying to churn jobs. That's how they make their income. The freelancers on Fiverr, whereas on Upwork, you're gonna get a higher quality. There's going to be almost like even an interview process. You're going to really, you're going to be able to discover the probably like the creme de la creme of those types of works. So it just depends what your budget's at, like what you can and can't afford initially, like something that's reasonable and that does a decent job you can get away with if you don't have as much to invest on that instructional guide. So then Fiverr would be that solution. And then if you do have some a little bit of money to invest, then I would say Upwork would be your best bet.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought, but still I gotta test out Upwork here soon.
Yeah, and I've had some pretty good results with Upwork in terms of CAD designers, just having CAD designers that could design those types of images, those types of renderings. So I would vouch for Upwork for sure. But Fiverr, I do use Fiverr too. And Fiverr is good for like I said, I just need something fast and nothing too complex and cheap.
Funny.
Thanks, Inam. Thanks, Alyssa. We're here for you every week. We're here for you all the time. As you know, if you ever run into any problems, even before these coaching calls, feel free to reach out to support@freedombuilderbootcamp.com. Also, feel free to chime into the Facebook group. You have lifetime access to this. Take advantage of it, and you have lifetime access to the course content. And as we build it out and grow it, you'll be able to benefit from that. So let's see. Brett has the next question. To do the one-time review of my listing, do I send you anything or do you look at the listing on Amazon? I would like to do this before it goes live. So do I have you look at it before my product arrives at Amazon? Great question, Brett. So you're referring to, yes, so the listing review. Part of the Freedom Builder Bootcamp package is that you get one free listing review, or it's included with your purchase. Ideally, you want to be at the phase that your listing is not ideally, definitely. You want to be at the phase where the listing to you, as far as to the all intents and purposes, you've completed it. Your images are on it. Your images are ready. your bullet points. You put time and effort in your title, your bullet points, your backend search terms, and if you have A+ content, all the better. Not necessarily, but because the whole point is to really give a very broad, well-rounded overview of your listing, and that way there, you could benefit it from it the most. Because if it's semi-complete, you're not going to take full advantage of it, because it's probably things that you already know and that you were working on to get done. So I would suggest wait until it doesn't have to be, the product doesn't have to be at Amazon. Just make sure your listing is at the point where, it's able to be reviewed. Awesome. All right. All right. Looking for more questions.
Yeah, we've had some good ones. Covering a number of different topics today.
Definitely. Well, Cole, I think we're at the end of the road here.
All right.
Oh, a question.
We got one. In the nick of time.
Yeah, just in the nick of time. We're about to call it quits. All right, Cole, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, we had, let's see, I created a sticker for my product packaging with Made in China, title, FNSKU, and suffocation warning. Am I missing anything? No, I think that covers the requirements. Yeah, you've got the Made in China, the title, FNSKU obviously is the important one there. Yeah, and a suffocation warning. I think that covers anything, unless you have this particularly unique product that has special requirements. To my knowledge, I think that's just about all you need.
Yeah, like if it's like battery powered or anything like that. But otherwise, that you've covered all the bases. Yeah. Like if it's a chemical or if it's battery powered, those are typically ones where you'll need to put some additional signage. But if you're following Freedom Builder Bootcamp, we discourage that your first product launch.
We don't condone those. Yeah.
Yeah. We want you to avoid all the different hurdles we've encountered and challenges that we've encountered over the years. All right. I think with that, we will conclude today's we got one more question just under the wire. Okay. So Alyssa asks, does Alibaba mainly just have manufacturers from China, or are many other countries represented? So Alibaba is a global marketplace. So you are going to have representation from manufacturers in India, say for example, or different areas throughout that produce these products. However, I will say that, what would you say, like 80%? I put the number like about 80% of the manufacturers that are on Alibaba are from China. China is I would say like the biggest hub of production and manufacturing, and they have really honed in the logistics angle as well. Like they have these ports devoted to just like shipping things, and so that's why it's probably going to be your best option to find a supplier. When you start dealing with other countries, you're going to probably run into additional problems, challenges, delays, things like that. China is going to be your best bet when it comes to finding a supplier. So that's probably why Alibaba focuses on, or well, not even focuses. There's just so many businesses in China that are trying to get on Alibaba versus other countries, because it's just a matter of, it's like anything. They go on there, they apply for Alibaba to get, to be on their site. Alibaba does its vetting. It's not like an in-depth vetting process. And then these suppliers are on the site. So that's how that works. There's also another site that you can try. Personally, like I've stuck with Alibaba, but it's a global. Let me make sure I give you the right link. Ooh. globalsources.com. I'll drop the link here for y'all to have. You could try it out. It has kind of the look and feel of Alibaba.com. To be quite honest, I found all my suppliers through Alibaba. I've never used it, but I've other sellers have used it and have had some success with it as well. So we just want to give you all the options that you have available to you. All right. Now with that, we are now at the top of the hour, so we will conclude today's coaching session. We will be joining you all next week, next Thursday, same time, same place. Just a heads up, while we're in Las Vegas for the Prosper Show, which is the week of July 13th through the 16th, we will not be having a live coaching session. So we have next week, and then the week after that will be, there'll just be a little week off as we're pretty much all going to be out there supporting the Jungle Scout team. So awesome. It was awesome having you on again, Cole. You're a trooper. You always have such great information to share with us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Rolando. It was fun. Had some good questions. Always a pleasure to join you on these.
Awesome. So take care, Freedom Builders, and keep crushing it. We'll talk soon.